Welcome to the Hooch, where the only place more messed up than your hosts is the barracks on a Friday night or the VA. So get ready to stand by for your weekly dose of toilet humor and shenanigans from your fellow veterans, Coy Mack and Michael Grizzled Grunt Harris.
And good evening, folks. You got Coy Mack here and the one, the only Michael Harris. I'm not saying.
Yeah. Oh, what'd you say?
No, my son in the background is going Paris, and I said no, Harris.
Oh, he can
Harris.
call me whatever he wants. It's cool. He's
Mr. Paris, you are from now on.
He's a kid. He can say whatever as long as it's not the
Yeah,
N-word.
he just turned 7. His birthday was on the 11th, and mine was yesterday.
Oh, happy belated! Why didn't you say nothing on the show? Because
because I don't make things about me. It's not my. It's like.
No, you could have just said, "Hey, I'm going to celebrate my birthday." We would have said, "Happy birthday," but happy belated birthday. I don't celebrate birthdays because I believe in like witchcraft spells and stuff. So whenever I celebrate a birthday, I'm calling myself 1 year older, and then my subconsciously, is telling my body that I'm getting old. And that's
I am halfway to 40. that's all.
You're only 20. That's good.
No, I'm 20. Yeah, that's I'm halfway to 40 is 20. That's right. No, I was gonna say I'm 5 years away from 40.
Oh, that's not good. Age is an illusion. Time is an illusion, except when you're messing with kids. But outside of that, you're only as old as you act and feel.
I feel like I'm 40.
I feel like I'm 20.
You feel like you're 20? Yeah, that's lucky for you because black don't crack, man. You know
that's right. We don't.
They just stay that way forever.
No, I use a lot of facial products, man.
Well, that's also been a really big
not makeup
issue online talking about lately of how like Gen Z looks older than they are
because they don't take care of themselves. Here's the key.
Yeah.
Here's the key to helping your skin. You got to use a scrub, not every day, like every 2-3 days. You got to moisturize. You got to wash. You have to wash your freaking face. And then I use like maybe 3 or 4 different moisturizers on it. And
it also depends on the type of soap you use, though, too, because a lot of
soap
that stuff will damage.
What are you talking about?
Face,
soap? Who uses soap on their face?
Just put some water on your face is fine.
No, I don't use soap.
But yeah, no, seriously, like some of the soaps out there are absolutely dangerous for you. They're classified as detergents, not like soap for your face. Like synthetic detergent is what they're classified as.
My friend, she sent me some hair products and some soaps for my hair, and we were like showing off each other's like beauty products. So we have a lot of the same stuff. And then she was like, "Did you ever try this?" And it's like this. Dang, I forget what kind of. Well, it's a plant, but it's for your hair, and it's like a bar of soap. It's really good. It helps your hair grow, so you might want to check it out. Like
a hemp-based thing or something else.
It's not hemp. She'll know. She's probably in here somewhere. But
is it oat?
No, it's not oat. I forget. It's in my bathroom, man. I forget what it is. But yeah,
you should take care of your face. I mean, it'll go that way. But like, sun damage is what a lot of it came down to. So like, people back in the day didn't wear any sunscreen, or if they did, they got cancer. So
oh my god, that's a lie. Sunscreen, you don't need sunscreen. The sun is a natural vitamin D. You want it. You don't want too much so you get burned.
Unless you're pasty white like me and you stick your leg out of a tent in Thailand and burn it in half a second.
You should have self-control and know that I can't be out there that long. But you need sun.
I really stuck my foot out of the tent and it burnt.
Well, sunblock was created to block the rays that you need to naturally heal yourself. And then sunblock was also created to put chemicals into your body, which causes, as you said, cancer.
Yeah.
Could cause skin cancer.
But there's a lot of science to it when we're talking about grounding and then also vitamin D, like necessary being out and
vitamin D. What type of vitamin D?
I am a vampire. Leave my house.
That's grounding. I do that every morning. Grounding, sun gazing.
By grounding, it means being barefoot outside.
Yes, they know.
Like an old school kid, just run around barefoot in the yard.
Hydrogen water. I take all my minerals. Not vitamins, minerals. Celtic salt every morning. Cayenne pepper every morning. All that stuff, man. I just do the right thing.
Point being is that everybody's aging, and then you should take care of yourselves the best possible. I'm not one of those that have been doing the best at that, but I will try in the future. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, so speaking of the future, we got to talk about Boston Dynamics releasing this incredibly creepy footage that Michael has yet to see. So I will bring it up. It's coming from Lex Friedman, the robot himself. If you don't know who Lex Friedman is, watch one of his podcasts. They're good, but he's so what would you call it? That deadpan, right? All the time, like definitely like no facial emotions. He's like Zuckerberg.
Oh, he has a poker face or a cyborg face?
Yeah, exactly. Like Lex Friedman's like a poker face. Anyway, so congrats on Boston Dynamics for their new electric version of the Atlas robot. Thanks to all the amazing engineers at Boston Dynamics, Tesla, and others pushing the field of robotics forward. I can't wait to hang out with the Atlas and Optimus together at some point, robot party. And so here you go. Hello, Dave.
Skynet.
Yeah, I can't wait to fight these things in the near future in the backwoods of the Ozarks or the Appalachians.
I mean, John Connor warned us, and Sarah Connor, this type of stuff, man. We got to be careful.
Told you it was coming.
I mean, have you seen those videos with AI and robots to where they're like talking to each other and they're like talking about how to take over the world and kill humanity?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's not even the worst thing that's happening right now. There's an entire online thread, hate thread on X about AI girlfriends.
Yeah,
that got people upset.
I mean, this is. I don't want to get off topic, but that's funny because I was watching something about that.
It's on topic.
And okay, and it was about the you got these movements going on social media. I don't know if you're keeping track of it. So there's the sprinkle movement. Then you got the drizzle movement. So all the ladies are mad about the drizzle movement because it's a counter to the sprinkle movement. So all the guys are pretty much like, man, they got AI robots now. We don't need you guys. It was crazy. These ladies are mad. Like, oh man. So I can see it in the future.
Here's another creepy video for you.
Yeah, no. I mean, it'd be cool to see.
Yeah, it looks cool, but then at the same time, you like realize, oh man, this is awful.
I mean, what if this thing, like the Jetsons, right? You start having these little cyborg maids running around your house, and for some reason, it has like some type of virus in it, and all of a sudden, it's like murder virus, and this thing is coming around trying to kill you, like the Terminator, man. You know what I mean?
You get to sleep with AI girlfriends. They're coming, man. They're coming. So it's just the world is falling apart at the seams. I think it was a good kind of lead into what we're going to be talking about today and how ridiculous the world is. Because like you've got AI girlfriends, you've got robotics in the future, you've got electric cars, climate change. Because it just comes out of nowhere, man. The climate change just comes out of nowhere and just like hits everybody, right? It's responsible for everything bad in the world. Like some like little gremlins up there in the sky just like causing issues in the weather system.
And they cause eclipses. They cause,
earthquakes.
It affects the sun's rotation. Let's just blame everything. Trump. That's why Trump got elected. It didn't rain today. That was climate change, even though it wasn't supposed to rain. But since it didn't rain,
right. And if it's another hot year summer, it's climate change. But if it's a really cold winter, it's also climate change.
Yeah, that's right.
Or maybe you just aren't really climate changes because climate changes because Earth does what Earth does.
So, yeah, exactly.
I mean, you really can't control thousands of years of climate shifts that have happened. Just because you exist, right? The hubris of humanity, right?
Yeah. It's all man's fault, even though, before the dawn of man, the modern man, which we have now, they were still having the same type of weather patterns and just as bad volcanoes and ice ages and dry spells and, but man,
El Nino happens.
Yeah, I remember El Nino. It's still around, huh?
Yeah, it happened last year.
Oh,
That's
I
why it was
mean,
so hot. But they said it was climate change, even though an underwater volcano heated up all the oceans. But
oh
whatever.
yeah, climate change.
Yeah, climate change. It was climate change. Because climate change is a very broad subject and it encompasses everything. As long as there is any change in climate, it's climate change, right? Because it used to be global warming, and before that, it was global cooling, right? And all these things. Maybe we'll get into it later. I want to talk about this interesting subject. We were talking about it before the show. The Air Force Times released this killer headline: Black Jews enlisted likelier to face punishment than white airmen. You can already tell where this is going just by reading the headline. So here's the article, because I don't want you to just take my word for it. I want you to read with us, folks. That let's zoom it in a little bit. There we go. Now you can read with me. Black men in the Air Force junior enlisted ranks are 86% more likely than their white counterparts to face non-judicial punishment or court-martial. So NJPs. For those of you who don't know, that's the condensed term there. NJPs or court-martials, according to a new study that explores racial disparities in the service justice system. There are racial disparities that I did not know existed. There we go. So, as we continue, why their experience diverges can be a tricky pinpoint. I wonder, because it's obviously going to be racism, right? Because that's what it always hands on, is racism. The federally funded think tank Rand Corp said in April 10th report, the airman job, their armed forces qualification test score, and where they called home can all play a role in who might face criminal charges or potential punishment. In most cases, researchers couldn't explain why black airmen would wind up in more trouble more often than the peers of other races, meaning that the difference likely boils down to unfair treatment. Yeah, sure, that's what that means. It must be unfair because they are more likely to be punished for things they possibly have done. So it must be racism.
Okay, I mean, when I was in the military, I was in an occupational skill occupation that there wasn't a lot of black people in it. So I can't really, I really can't speak on black people getting unfair treatment, because it never happened. Everything is situation based, and like I said earlier, every commander across the military, including the Air Force, every commander is going to give out that non-judicial punishment as they see fit. One may be a little more lenient. I've seen commanders that throw the whole book at them. You know what I mean? So it's not unfair treatment. There are things that led up, as you know, that leads up to that NJP, or that that UCMJ action. It's patterns. We don't just, unless it's something huge like a DUI or drug, popping hot on a drug test or something like that.
Drug-related events.
Drug-related, that's like instant. Usually, that's boom, do the paperwork, they're done.
You're getting ninja punched real hard.
Yeah, but a lot of times with these smaller offenses, it builds up. We keep a record of it, and then it builds up. So if they're saying a black soldier is getting, or airman is getting harsher punishment than their counterparts, what happened before that punishment was given? Because that's that they're going to look at everything. They look at it all when they give them that punishment. If this guy, the black kid, let's say in their world, if the black kid that was multiple offenders was given multiple chances, and they look at his packet and they go down the list of dates and everything else, then they look at him and say, well, you're a problem child, or vice versa. You're a problem child. We're going to throw the whole book at you. You get a young white kid who's done good, or whatever race, hasn't been a problem, messed up, his punishment's going to be less, even though it's the same thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes sense to me. I mean, that's especially what I've seen. Like in my unit in the Marine Corps, it was like what? 40% white, 40% Hispanic, and like 10% everybody else, right?
Yeah,
it was
Army.
There wasn't much differentiation there. So the majority of people in the unit were of various races, but there was a heavier set of like Hispanic and white being in the Marine Corps, especially in the infantry. Like that's just the way it was. We only had one black dude in my mortar unit. One. Only one. There was only one of them. But if you went to admin, There were a lot.
All of them.
If you went to supply, there were a lot.
All of them. Commo. All of them just
Yeah.
about. And it was the same way in the Army, man. I mean, in our infantry battalions, you could make a half of a platoon out of all the black dudes in a battalion sometimes. That's, think about how big a battalion is. Maybe a platoon. You could probably build a platoon out of them. So, yeah, it's not many of us black people in the infantry.
Yeah.
When you start going into the other MOSs, yes, you see a lot more. But again, what led up to it being unfair? What do you consider unfair? Because I think the reporting is they just looked at the same punishment that both of these soldiers or airmen committed, and one race got a harsher punishment than the other, but they didn't look at everything else that led up to that punishment. Which they
multiple offenses, whatever else, like a history of things. That's the interesting part. So the Air Force funded this report in a growing body of work that has sought to uncover and explain racial disparities across the military, as well as within the justice system, including the Air Force Inspector General report and others that are conducted after George Floyd's death in 2022. So, yeah, this is what it's really about, the George Floyd thing. And spark protests, yada yada. Okay, so the studies found that black airmen. I like how they do this. They do this like, the study found that black airmen, other minorities and women face consistent hurdles in their careers that have limited their opportunities to progress and hurt their sense of belonging in uniform. So everything here is DEI, right? That's what this is about, is DEI. Not if force readiness, not if like replacing equipment that's broken or rolling in, spending on units, or even sexual assault. We're going to be focusing consistently on DEI. Let's just go with that. Rand's new work attempts to take a deeper look into the problem, focusing on airmen of the ranks of E1 through E4, lower enlisted.
And it's going to be consistently pathetic. We have bigger problems out here in the world, and we're sitting here focused on DEI, even though they're not going to call it that. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's wokeism transitioning to the military, which are trying to weaken the military, so the military would be easier to defeat. These inspector general idiots had nothing better to do but to search for something. They probably got one complaint. And they did a census report, or whatever that report's called. Climate report, command climate report. They did the command climate report, and a bunch of disgruntled individuals were on there just complaining, because that's what a command climate report is. A lot of times it's just a bunch of people going down there. They just complain because they're disgruntled. They're disgruntled individuals, and then they go, oh, look, we have a problem. Let's look at each individual's track record, their physical fitness, their marksmanship, their uniform, everything that's in that counseling packet. And then you determine if they're being targeted, or are they just horrible airmen that shouldn't even be in uniform.
Which we've seen those. I mean, nobody generally, unless there is a douchebag in the senior enlisted or elsewhere, and they have most people deserve the ninja punches they get. I'm just gonna be honest and say that, right? I know a lot of people feel they were unjustified, but if you get ninja punched, it's usually for a good reason, and it's usually because it's alcohol related. Let's be honest. Most of them are alcohol related.
Alcohol or drug; those are the biggest ones.
Some Marine got drunk on a weekend, went to Bakersfield, and started kicking in doors and causing a bunch of havoc. That's more than likely what happened. Or they got drunk and they got caught at the base gates and were arrested. That's more than likely what happened. Okay, and so it's
I was a platoon sergeant, man. When I was a platoon sergeant, I really, UCMJ was the very last straw for me. But I did everything in my power to keep people from having to go through that process of losing money, losing time with their family. It already sucked enough that we was in the field all the time. It already sucked enough that we was there 16, 17, 18 hours a day sometimes. So I always try to do everything within my power to help lower the amount of punishment. But I had this soldier, when I took over the platoon in Fort Bliss, they moved me from one platoon. Then I got moved to another platoon to be the platoon sergeant. And This guy was just trash, man. You ever just see a soldier, you just want to just take him out back and put him in a ditch somewhere? That was this
Yeah,
guy.
there are tons of trash
Yeah,
people that
just
exist.
trash. And we got back from a training exercise, and he was just a problem child, so he decided not to come and work. He went AWOL. His mom turned him in. We found him in Vegas, brought him back, and then we were like, no. He left for Vegas. His mom called us, told us he was in Vegas. His mom calls me because I was platoon sergeant. She said he's at the USO in Vegas. So I called the police department in Vegas. They went to the USO and saw him there. They was like, well, we can't do anything unless he's counted as AWOL. He wasn't counted as AWOL yet. So I guess he saw that the cops saw him. He gets up, takes off outside the airport, steals one of the maintenance trucks at the airport, and is driving down the strip. This is a true story. He's driving down the strip while on Snapchat, filming it. Everybody back at the unit is watching it. Gets caught, gets arrested. Then my guys go there and pick him up. Two of my squad leaders go there and pick him up, bring him back. They stop at the front gate of the base. They go, give me your ID. He hands him his ID. They go, get out. Kicked him out of the vehicle right there in front of the base. We had already chaptered him out.
He was already done.
Yeah, we already chaptered him out. We had all this stuff turned in. He didn't have to be there. We just said, this guy needs to go. They got him out. They picked him up, brought him back to El Paso, and dropped him off at the front gate. He couldn't even enter.
But the question is, Michael, was he black?
No, he's a little white kid.
Yeah. See, stuff isn't always the black dudes. See what I mean? Like, this is what I'm talking about. Anyway, so here's the report findings. I wanted to get this before we move on to the next thing. Overall, Article 15's and court-martial referrals were 71% more likely for black junior enlisted airmen, male or female, when compared to white airmen. As you gave an example of a perfectly good example of a white man being a total douchebag and getting kicked out. These actions were 27% more likely for American Indian and Native Alaskan airmen, 8% more likely for Hispanic American airmen, and equally likely for Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islanders, and less likely for Asian airmen and their white counterparts. So here's the narrative right there. The white adjacent and the white are less likely.
Okay. How many white adjacent were in your unit? I can't.
God,
maybe
there's
one?
like a handful, more than okay. There was more.
I could say maybe two.
More than our black individuals that were in my unit, because like I can only count maybe like 5 or 6 that were in my infantry unit, but there were more than a handful of Asian and Pacific Islanders if we count them all together. Like we had Samoans, we had Hawaiians, we had some others in there, but Asian like East Asian, like not more than black but less than Hispanic. I would say it like that.
Yeah, the numbers are low. Again, they would have to go back to counter this claim. All those people that said that they get harsher punishment, that are complaining about their punishment, are probably children anyway. So what I would have done, all right, we're going to pull your counseling packet. We're going to look at your track record. Then we're going to pull this guy's counseling packet and look at this track record. Well, young black man, how come your counseling packet's this thick and this guy's packet's this thick, even though he got punished too, but your packet's this thick? I
would also bet you that Asian airmen are even less likely than white airmen to be in trouble.
Yep, that's true.
And that just comes down to parenting. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
it's there. They won't mention that, but I think these are the least likely to be in trouble. The least likely. There might be some outliers, but the least likely probably be these are not going to be your problem children. It's not going to be the Asian airmen. I would just guarantee it.
Yeah, that's true.
Because especially for airmen, because you have to be smart to get in the first place, right? So like we're talking about in the upper echelons of the Asian community, they're probably doing all right.
That's debatable. Like that. You ain't got to be smart to be in the Air Force.
Saying, like we're talking in generalities here. That's probably true.
I would say, I would say that infantrymen, this is from my experience, were some of the smartest dudes in the Army. Any type of combat infantry or any type of combat MOS. I'm just not going to say infantry. I'm speaking infantry because I was an infantryman for a very long time. some of the smartest dudes I've ever met, man. And people always
Yeah,
talk
a lot
about
of
how
those
infantrymen
guys.
are dumb. No, they're not. No, some of those guys got the highest GT you can get. They just want to be an infantryman and not be a little
Yeah,
punk
those are the guys that
sitting behind a
wanted to
desk.
do that job, not
Yeah.
that they were forced to do that job. They wanted that job.
Hmm.
That's the difference.
I wasn't
So
forced.
the
I volunteered to be an infantryman too.
yeah, same here. I signed up for it too.
Yep.
So black airmen referred to court-martial are less likely to be convicted than their white counterparts and face lower sentences depending on their convictions. There was no racial difference in punishment doled out for those issued in Article 15. 1/5 of disparities among Article 15 and court-martial referrals between black and white airmen could be explained in racial differences in career fields and other variables that might foreshadow offense rates, including their home of record, and armed forces qualification tests.
Oh wait, didn't we just say that
Look at that.
earlier?
Yeah, we did
Look at
just say
that.
that. Yeah, yeah. And 4/5 of the disparities could not be explained by available data. Researchers noted that while some cases lack definitive explanation, there are consistent with the situations that disparate treatment may be at least partly responsible.
So why'd they even put out the article if
I
they
know,
can't?
right?
They can't even.
Basically, it's just the DI report. That's
Yeah,
what it is.
they can't confirm any of this is true because again, when they feel that those are based off command climate surveys, which the inspector general usually controls. Disgruntled employees are going to put disgruntled stuff on there, and especially in the climate we
Yep.
live in, the social climate we live in now, which has affected the military. Anybody who's black or a minority is going to claim that somebody, blah blah blah. I did almost 22 years in the Army, man. I've never had a racial anything towards me in a predominantly white field. Predominantly. I've never had nobody hold me back. I've never had nobody keep me from promotion. I've never had nobody try to stop me. I was an E7. I got out. I should have stayed in, obviously, but I got out, but I still made it to a senior rank. And I have friends who are like me, look like me, who sergeant majors, command sergeant majors. They made it up, colonels, full bearer colonels. So it's all based off the lower enlisted. They said it ranks 1 through 4. And usually between those ranks are usually very disgruntled. Very disgruntled.
Generally speaking, yeah, they're very,
Yeah.
very disgruntled individuals. I will admit that.
And throw that out, bump that. Don't believe that stupid thing they did.
But it's just the point that they wasted taxpayers' money on doing this report in the first place.
Yeah, it's to cause a divide, man. Everything is
Yeah, it's like why did you need to specifically focus on that instead of, hey, maybe why are they causing all these issues? Why are we having more Article 15s and court martials? Like, why is there a problem in the ranks that we need to be addressing, which they would never do? Because why would they?
Yep.
Situation like we're fine. We're just gonna keep doing what we're doing. And we're just gonna keep pushing the things that we're pushing right now, which is apparently not force readiness.
Yeah. It's woke
cares about
readiness.
that?
We don't care about force readiness. We care about woke readiness.
Who cares if we can make an amphibious landing in a Pacific climate, as long as we know which gender they are?
Yes. As long as we have the
long as we
right
know.
amount of each race holding positions of authority. Doesn't matter if they're qualified. Just put that, see that black guy right there? Make him a colonel. But sir, we don't know anything about him. Doesn't matter. DEI. We got to meet the quota, man. We got to meet the quota.
We got to make the quotas. Speaking of quotas, one of the bigger reports coming out today is the student walkout in Utah of middle schoolers protesting furries. You read that right, furries, because children who are not in high school are dressing up as furries in school to the point that children are complaining of litter boxes in the bathroom. And I know I don't remember if you mentioned it on our chat not too long ago, but they were saying they were having this issue, and now it's become a national issue. Yeah, it was you, Retro, that brought that up about the furries thing. I think it was you. I don't remember who brought it up.
I think it was Retro.
Yeah, I think it was Retro. But anyway, here's their news report coming out of there. I want you to take a listen, and we can all cringe in horror as the state of our country is. We are not a serious people.
In Payson, where a group of about 75 protesters showed up to Nebo Middle School today. They say it's an issue over students who call themselves furries. But how much of that discontent is fueled by rumor? Our Sarah Murphy asked that question. She's here with what she found out. Sarah, what's this all about?
All right, Brian. Well, the term furry, it refers to someone interested in animals with human qualities. Now, they dress up like this as a cartoon version.
And I want to let you know that these suits are not cheap to buy. They are expensive. They are not something you just go on Amazon and go, you know what? I want to be a furry today and buy those. You have to get those specifically made, specially tailored, and they're not cheap.
I wouldn't know. You would know. That's weird.
I know a vast number of things from the internet, and that's one of them, of people saying, hey, those things aren't cheap. And kids getting them, it means that the parents are enabling the behavior in the first place. That's why I bring it up, is because the parents are enabling the behavior. Because it's not a cheap expense. We're talking about thousands of dollars on a costume.
Wasn't there or was that a rumor? There was this furry party and his brother and sister, it was like a sex party. And they were all in these costumes, and his brother and sister ended up doing it. And the dude got his sister pregnant.
Yeah.
That's some weird stuff. It's not cool.
It is not cool. Yeah. So let's continue. I wanted to give you guys that info.
Of an animal. Now, we've learned there have been reports at Nebo Middle School that students are getting mistreated over this topic.
There was some kids dressed up as animals, and I heard that another kid got bit by one of them.
There's a lot of speculation.
Make sure to get your rabies shot.
Wow, dude.
Sorry, I had to make the joke.
Surrounding the protest that happened at Nebo Middle School Wednesday morning. Nearly 75 students and parents showed up facing the school, saying they're unhappy with how administration is handling reports of harassment.
Okay.
You guys cannot record me without my permission! This is video a Nebo Middle School student took last week. Parents say there's an issue between some students and others who call themselves furries, or people who enjoy dressing up as cartoonish animals.
Back when I went to school, you couldn't dress that way, you couldn't do certain things, and I think it kind of needs to go back a little bit. Like, I know kids need their own personalities, but it's ridiculous when kids are dressing like animals and licking and biting people. I just don't think that's okay.
But the Nebo School District tells us it's not that extreme.
It's not happening. Everything that's been said is an outlier. Everything's fine. Believe us, because you can protect your children, right? Because we just had an entire episode yesterday on the Savage Patriots of how you should trust the government with your children. And if you haven't seen that episode, you need to go see to understand why this is stupid and that all of this is nonsense in the first place.
And this is why we need to get rid of the Department of Education, because the Department of Education can lay the smack down on this if they really want to. Because the Department of Education be like, hey, don't we send you guys funding? Yeah, we're going to stop your funding if you continue this furry stuff. But the Department of Education doesn't care. That's why we need to get rid of them. And then we, keep everything local so the local governments can control what's going on at these schools. But this is just the dumbing down of our country, man. It's making my whole right side of my brain fucking twitch. It's watching this, because it's dumbing down the future of our country. So look at these kids now, and you saw how that little girl lashed out, just emotional, all this. And I get it. She's a kid. I understand that. But they're going to be adults one day. And if this isn't stopped now, if this isn't stopped, this is just going to continue. It's going to be continued behavior all the way through her adolescence, all the way into adulthood. And then next thing you know, she's going to be running for president in a freaking skunk suit.
President Skunk.
President Skunky Skunk. Like, what the heck is going on with this?
Pepe Skunk came out today and said that Iran needs to be bummed.
We need a big one. We need something, dude. We need a reset. Hey, I'm ready. Just reset. Hey,
just hit the reset button.
Just hit the reset button, because this is ridiculous. And other countries are laughing at us, man.
We are not as serious people.
Yeah, other countries laugh and mock us. They make movies about us. They joke about us because the parents are weak. They are weak.
Yeah.
Man, if my son was still in school, I wish he would. Oh, man. No, okay.
All right, let's continue before Michael gets too heated.
Sorensen says no one was scratching or biting anyone, and that there are a lot of
Okay, sorry. Nobody was being scratched or bit, but in the same vein, there's plenty of administrators have said that sexual assault wasn't happening when it was. So I just want to
Yeah.
point that out there. I believe them as about as far as I could throw them.
True rumors going around.
It actually is not something that's been occurring. In fact, a lot of the information that's been put out there is completely incorrect and inaccurate. And so we're still trying to get on top of that.
Thank you.
This is Strudel, a member of the furry fandom.
I'm sorry. What? Your name is Strudel?
Okay.
Your name is Strudel.
I mean, we're laughing at these kids. I get it. They're kids, young minds. It could be a phase. At least we could say this about these kids. This could be a phase. Maybe they'll grow out of it. But actually, they don't grow out of it is because you have adults who do the same
that are
exact thing.
enabling the behavior. Yeah, like, I mean, look at how everything else where things used to be classified as mental health issues are now being classified as just being normal. That's just normal. I'm not gonna say what those ones are, but you know what they are. You know which ones we're talking about.
Yeah.
So like we're gonna enable this behavior, and then I laugh at it because it's so ridiculous. Like this person, you're going to a school dressed like this. Eventually, they grow up thinking this is okay because they go to a public institution dressed like this, and then they're going to say my right as an individual to dress like this at a job, and you must call me Strudel at work, is the most insane thing you could possibly think. Like this is how they think that this is going to be one of those things where this is what we're going to be doing, is that I'm going to have to work with a furry, and his name is Strudel, and he's my manager. Manager Strudel is the guy responsible for the TPS reports.
And that's what it's going to come down to. I mean, if you go to any job application now or anything you fill out online that has some application portion, they always ask you, what do you identify as? Furry's not on there yet. Furry Furry will be on there.
It'll be otherkin. That's what it'll be. It's like, are you a furry or otherkin? And then it'll just put like whatever there is. And my name is Sprinkle Sunshine Butt Fart McPoopy Hole.
Can we just give them?
And you must call me that.
Can we just give them like, I don't know, the Mojave? They can just take the whole Mojave and they can just have Burning Man every single day. You know, Lord of the Flies, and they can just go out there and just live their best life. And then they'll wake up one day as an adult living like this, realizing that they threw their life away because of some identity that made no sense.
We are destroying an entire generation of children.
Oh, yeah.
With all this nonsense. And it is not going to get better before, like, it's going to get worse before it even gets better. And even then, I don't even know if it gets better. Just because of how we've seen how these kids are acting now, and they get older. Just like, remember when they're saying in 2016 when like all the DEI issues that people were complaining about of the teenagers in college, they eventually grow up and become adults who then cause issue in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
Right, which is what we're dealing with now. So eventually, these people will grow up, get older, believing this is okay to do, and go into the workplace. I just want to point that out. That it eventually grows up. Like all things in the world, they eventually get older.
Oh my God.
Though they've been a furry for over a decade, they have their own opinions.
It's crazy that it's escalated to this point where these kids are being so distracting to their peers that their peers want to stage a walkout. So to have, the next generation kind of muddy our name and not represent it very well, it is kind of disappointing.
Strudel believes there should be some limits.
Continue doing things you like, continue dressing up, continue making art, but maybe let's keep it outside of school hours.
As for the
school...
school...
so they just found a random furry to do this interview. Okay, that makes more sense.
No, they didn't find a random furry. Yeah, I'm glad you're being sarcastic because I was about to say... But yeah, they found a random furry. No, that's a hired actor that they said, put on his suit and answer some questions. Come on, we can see past. There wasn't no random furry just standing out there, man.
Yeah, I guess so, but it seemed like at first that this was a person from the school, but apparently it wasn't. But either way, it's a person that an adult. Yeah, an adult doing this thing. I was like, man, you've been doing this for a decade? It's like, you're a kid? Maybe it's because the person was small in stature. It was more believable. But either way, Either way.
Brinson says they have one main goal.
We want every student to feel safe when they come to school, and we want students to get along. In fact, we want adults to get along.
Okay, so the district says they've worked with some students whose dress and appearance they say might be disruptive to the school environment. They say they do invite parents to talk with administration to learn more about how they're handling the situation. Brian, back to you.
All right, here's what I have to say about that school. All those kids wearing those furry suits, okay, allow it, do it. But don't have a kid who comes in there with a Make America Great shirt on, that has a MAGA shirt on, that wears an American flag. Not saying this school does it, but you've seen it in all these schools. Show up, have your kid, if you're against this furry stuff at this school, have your kid wear some type of Make America Great shirt on. If they kick them out the school saying it's disrupting the school, you know what to do.
Yeah. And here's part of the protest that was outside of these kids.
People, not the animals. We the 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 people, not the animals.
Now, I mean, I know this is all like stuff
Man,
that the parents help to organize. So nobody's having any illusion about this, but it's still the point that they had to go out of their school and protest because of the treatment that they were receiving, and then getting no help from the administration in the first place.
And these are seventh graders.
Yeah.
With those signs, pre-made signs.
Yeah, we're talking like 10 to 12-year-olds.
Oh, 10-year-olds. Yeah, I guess, the parents helped them. It's all staged. Everything is right.
But it just goes to that point that we're not a serious people.
No.
We're just not. It's so insane to me.
And, with stuff like this, man, you got to think. Bestiality will be made legal if this continues, because the furries, you got to think about it. The furries will say, well, I'm an animal. I identify as an animal because I'm a furry, so I should be allowed to sleep with Fido over there if I really wanted to. Well, he is right. He identifies as an animal. We ought to let him sleep with an animal. And that's what it's going to come down to, that, man. Sickening.
I'm sure some of them were there because they want to be out of class. I mean, I remember what it was like to be a kid. We didn't want to be in class, so any excuse is good.
We never protested, though.
Yeah, I don't remember any like sort of walkouts or protests or any of those things that you see today. Like that's the most ridiculous thing about the whole thing. But I mean, when you have adults acting like this, where the Senate Democrats have voted to end the impeachment of Mayorkas,
of course,
which doesn't make sense to me. I mean, he was impeached in the House, and then they sent it up for trial, and they're like, nah, we're not doing that. Even though we are having the worst issue of immigration in the entirely history of the United States, and the person responsible for said issue isn't impeachable because they said we're not going to try him at all, even though they won't even hear evidence to it, is insane. But I mean, then again, we have kids that are pretending to be furries in school. So, I mean... We're not a serious people.
There's a reason Mayorkas isn't going to get impeached, and I don't want to say it, man, because I know if I say it, it's going to get us demonetized big time. But there's another reason. He's protected. He's protected by the cabal, protected by a certain sect of people that are in charge. That's why. So, the people in charge, we always say these people that are sitting up here on camera, yelling and back at each other, arguing back and forth with each other, they're all actors, man. At the end of the day, Johnson, all of them, they answer to somebody else way above them. And it's not the president. It's not the president. Somebody else is calling the shots. The same people telling the president what to do is the same people telling Congress to do. That's why Mayorkas didn't get impeached. The right always folds, and we mentioned this yesterday. It doesn't matter what it is, the right folds. Every time the right is just like, they always go bipartisan. The left doesn't play that game. They might go bipartisan as long as they get what they want, but if it's something the right wants, the left has nothing to do with it. The right always seems to do that. Why? Who's paying you? And I'm not talking about tax dollars, whatever that fake saying you guys like to say tax dollars. It's not tax dollars. Who's really paying you?
Yeah.
And we're going to find out. And hopefully we tar and feather you guys. Just saying.
Yep. So the Senate Democrats voted to end the impeachment proceedings against Director of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas on Wednesday without trial. in a move that enraged the Republican colleagues. Because, like, I'm glad that we have to sit through all the Trump trials, but we can't actually sit through a trial for a guy who is literally not doing his job and following federal law. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. The Senate vote, not surprisingly, by the way, the Senate vote mostly on party lines. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed it would have been on party lines?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could have told you that before you even reached the Senate, that it was going to be on party lines. So they dismissed 2 articles of impeachment against Mayorkas and adjourned the trial. Alaska Senator Lisa Murkowski, who broke party lines to support the second impeachment of Donald Trump, voted present during the vote to table the first article while supporting the second article of impeachment. Mitt Romney, yay, our favorite, another Republican who supported both impeachments of Donald Trump, voted against shutting down the trial. And both instances. Well, at least he has a backbone sometimes.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Look at there. Many members of the GOP caucus voiced their frustration over Democrats killing the impeachment process without a public debate, period. It is so crazy to me. So there's actually a video of Ted Cruz complaining about it too.
I don't trust him either, but
I don't know, but he's saying exactly what needs to be said. I mean, a broken clock is right twice a day, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes people say things that are correct, even if they're wrong. Sometimes. So here's his reaction to
motion. The majority leader has argued that Secretary Mayorkas' defiance of federal immigration law and active aiding and abetting of the worst criminal invasion in our nation's history does not constitute a high crime or misdemeanor. He has presented no argument on that question. He has presented no briefing on that question, and the position is directly contrary to the Constitution, to the original understanding of the Constitution at the time it was ratified, and to the explicit position of the Biden Department of Justice as argued before the Supreme Court of the United States. The majority leader's position is asking members of this Senate to vote on political expediency to avoid listening to arguments. The only rational way to resolve this question is actually to debate it, to consider the Constitution and consider the law.
The senator will recognize that the Senate is in a non-debatable position. The senator has a right to offer his point of order, or his motion, but we are in a non-debatable position.
And my motion is to change that so that we can actually debate the law as senators care what the Constitution and law says. I therefore move that the Senate proceed to closed session to allow for deliberation on the question as required by Impeachment Rule 24.
Madam President.
Majority Leader.
In our previous consent request, we gave your side a chance for debate in public, where it should be. And your side objected. We are moving forward.
And so they just shut it down. It's like, well, you didn't do what we asked for, and so there it is. That's what you get. It's just amazing to me. These are the people running
a bunch of freaking dinosaurs running our country. They've been running it for years, and look at the state that we're in. And then you got the American people, some American people who keep voting for these same people that they say shouldn't be in office, but every year we keep voting for them.
Yep.
You know, then they make it to the point to where your average citizen can't run because they don't have enough money. You got to be a millionaire just to run for these offices. It makes no sense, man. It makes no sense. The American people need to wake up to this. It's all an operation to destroy our country. All of this.
Right. And I want to put this in perspective for people, because like this just happened in New York, where African migrants in New York City went to the council to whine about free food and housing. So we can't impeach Mayorkas for the stupid things he's been doing and not following the law, but we still have to pay for and house people like this who demand of the U.S. taxpayer their rightful dues.
But at the shelter, the food, my kids cannot eat the food at the shelter.
Kasuma yedo men sonjino moƴƴa parce que tawi kadi horu gongol arta e kikiɗe tawa ñamete on awawata mo ñamude.
And on Ramadan time, we couldn't eat because when you come back for the breaks, the food is no good at all.
ko ɓe jonata men kon kadi 2 mois a yalta e o 2 mois ɗo timma yalta tawa ko ya ƴettu kadi paykoye fof ƴetta bagage ji ma yaha kadi winditoyoɗa ɓe naɓiran ma kadi nokkugo hara paykoye no jangirde nokkugo ɗum ɗon fof no wondani men e sattede.
And they give us 2 months to stay at the shelter, and then you have to go out again with your luggages and the kids and find another place. It's very difficult.
haray
No wonder it's difficult. We have homeless Americans in the street right now because it's difficult. We have people that can't buy houses because it's difficult. We have people that can't pay rent because it's difficult. But you expect, just because you came here, because you were invited here by the Biden administration, that you get handouts
of our money.
Of our money, yeah.
Yep. No,
But
sorry.
that's what you expect. That's what they expect, yeah.
Yeah, I don't. You know, if we're gonna help, they need to go to the end of the line and help the American citizens first. You start helping these American citizens. If they started helping all our homeless and all our people that need health care and all the Americans that are struggling to do everything, I don't think the American people would have a problem with them helping these immigrants. But they put the American people on the back burner. They put all these immigrants in front of the line, give them everything they want. And then the American people that are looking, they're looking like, you know, I've been on the streets for 5 years and nobody's came and gave me a handout. I've been begging and crawling.
I just want to point out this line of people that we just watched.
Military.
You want to notice something interesting? Yeah. They're all young men. Every single wait, there's one. There's two that's not, like maybe three right there.
It's an invasion.
Just one or two of them that are not. But they went and they complained that they weren't getting enough. That they were promised certain things by a certain amount of people that they were going to receive help in New York City.
They're better than
sanctuary.
me. They're better than me. I couldn't be the president. I'm like, all right, look, get them all on a plane. We're going to fly them to this other city that's going to give them free housing and everything. I'll fly their asses back to where they came from.
Yep.
You want to complain? Okay, hey, we're going to fly you over to Texas. They're in New York. Fly them over to Texas. You fly them back to their country. Have them get off the plane. And see you later. Enjoy. You want to complain?
But New York does not deserve to be impeached over any of this.
No.
None of it.
Take them on the Martha's Vineyard, man. They got room.
The whole thing is not serious. Everything that we do is not serious. I mean, at least we're not the only ones in the world messing things up, because Dubai decided they want to play with the weather, with Mother Nature, and effed everything up. And even to the point that now cats are stranded.
Poor cat. Are they saving it?
Yeah. They're saving it.
Okay, good.
So, I mean, there's at least some humanity left in the world where they save the cat from the problems that the humans created in the first place.
I love it.
But it's just the point that, like, so the flooding's been happening in Dubai for more than a few days now because of not cloud seeding, by the way, as the mainstream media has pointed out to us that is a conspiracy theory and that cloud seeding is not a real thing. Or that it's not the reason that is happening, right? They're saying that's not the reason. So I want you to look at this screen I'm going to bring up, and where all the articles are saying, especially the BBC one is really funny to me. No, cloud seeding didn't cause the Dubai floods. It did not cause it. All of this is not real.
And that's all mainstream, right?
Yeah, this is all mainstream. I'm going to go through the headlines. So here they are. UAE government unit denies cloud seeding took place before Dubai flood, right? Even though there's a Wikipedia entry on cloud seeding in UAE. And then, what is cloud seeding and did it play a role in Dubai floods? And anytime that a headline asks a question, the answer is generally no. Just as a rule of thumb, if you see somebody question in a headline, the answer is generally no at the end of it. Every single time. So Dubai grinds to a standstill as flooding hits the city. Yeah. So they pretty much go, yeah, no, all this is oh yeah, here you go. Reuters, what caused Dubai floods? Experts cite climate change, not cloud seeding.
Of course. Hey, what caused climate change? Cloud seeding.
Cloud seeding, yeah. I wonder how that happened.
Yeah, cloud seeding causes climate change. I
So
mean,
the- what's
they can control the weather, but like I said backstage, you can control the weather, but you can't control how Mother Nature's going to react to it.
So this is what they're saying. Did the cloud seeding cause a storm? Rainfall is rare in the UAE and elsewhere on the Arab Peninsula, and is typical known for as a dry desert climate. Yeah, because sometimes it rains in the desert. Usually in the wet season, it gets really, really wet. Okay, that's just how desert climate works. So they're saying that the cloud seeding process, which is chemicals implanted in the clouds, I have a video I was going to show later on that. They located the hottest regions and they effort to see clouds and the precipitation, but they're saying that it had no operations during the storm. So this is the information we needed. They say they didn't cloud seed before the storm, but they do cloud seed sometimes.
Yeah, but they didn't
I think
this time.
Yeah, because I believe the UAE and any government when they tell me they didn't do a thing, when more than likely they did the thing.
Yeah, they did it.
Yeah, they did it. So I have a video. I wanted to get everybody on the same page before heading out here. What cloud seeding actually is and what it does. And this is a technology they've been working on for a very long time. This is what they say that what it's supposed to do. Oh shit! I thought I had it up. My bad. Here you go.
Smaller hail pellets.
This is done by introducing a seeding agent through pyrotechnic flares attached to an aircraft. Think Roman candles with a mission to deliver those condensation nuclei that encourage more collisions and group huddles by ice crystals inside the cloud. Common seeding agents used are dry ice, the solid form of carbon dioxide, silver iodide, or simple salts like sodium chloride. Seeding agents act as additional ice nuclei. In the case of silver iodide, its structure is very similar to ice, hexagonal, which is why experts think ice wants to bond to it. When silver iodide is used in a cloud, water droplets begin to give up water vapor and shrink. At the same time, the ice crystals already present in the cloud collect this moisture and grow. As ice crystals bang into other ice crystals, they become larger and heavier until they fall from the cloud. So why would we even want to do this? Who does it benefit?
In the wintertime,
So they're saying they didn't do that. That's what cloud seeding is, so we understand what the definition of cloud seeding is. They're saying they did not do that before the storm. More than likely, in my opinion, this is my opinion, my theory, they did do that, and it happened to just coincide with the rainy season that usually happens so often in a desert climate. And so they seeded on top of what they thought was going to be a dry spell. And instead it wasn't a dry spell. It was the flooding season. And they just added on top of it is what happened.
Maybe. I don't know. I just think they're messing around with things that they shouldn't mess around with. And we was never created to mess around with the environment. And they did it. And it, like you said, it gave them a reaction that they didn't want, because that's all scientific nerd stuff. And they put all these chemicals in the air, something in the atmosphere, something else, to create something more than what they really wanted. Now, it got out of control. Mother Nature was like, oh, you think you can control me? You can't control me. And she showed you that you're not in control. God showed you you're not in control. You're not in control. He's showing you every single day.
Yeah, and this is some of the video footage coming out of Dubai that happened with the floods. I mean, we're talking massive floods. This is not normal flooding. I mean,
yeah,
it's not normal flooding for that area at that particular time. Like, that is too much water. And so, like I said, I think they just added on top what was already a change in the climate, as they put it, climate change, is that the rainy season was already coming. They didn't know that because they're playing with things they're not supposed to play with. And then they messed up the climate. That's what they did. It's like that's what I'm thinking.
They're doing that. They're doing that all over the globe, and they're calling it climate change. I mean, cloud seeding has been going on for decades, centuries. I mean, ever since at least I can go far back as World War II, they were using cloud seeding. If you look up at the sky every day, look up at the sky, when you start seeing what they call chemtrails, which is real, and they denied it. That's all cloud seeding. That's all they're doing. They're just putting chemicals in the atmosphere. And who knows what chemicals they're putting in. These same chemicals that they put in the atmosphere, what goes up must come what?
Must come down, man.
Must come down. So whenever they create this fake rain, whenever they create that stuff, all that fake rain has to come back down. It gets in our soil, it gets in our plants, it gets in our water supply, it gets in our food, and we don't even know what's in there. And a lot of it's aluminum. So they know what they're doing, man. They know exactly what they're doing. They're trying to kill us.
They know. So here's the last bit of fun before we head out of here for the night. This is the 1979 warning of an impending ice age, because climate science is never wrong.
Data shows that average temperatures in the Arctic have fallen dramatically over the last 30 years. In most locations, the drop has been about 2 degrees centigrade. At that rate, the descent to ice age temperatures could take less than 200 years. It is not only the lonely Arctic that is cool. The whole northern hemisphere is growing steadily colder.
There is little doubt that someday the ice will return. At least 8 times in the past million years, it has advanced and retreated with clockwork regularity. If we are unprepared for the next advance, the result could be hunger and death on a scale unprecedented in all of history. What scientists are telling us now is that the threat of an ice age is not as remote as they once thought. During the lifetime of our grandchildren, Arctic cold and perpetual snow could turn most of the inhabitable portions of our planet into a polar desert.
Into a polar desert. He said it.
Fear mongering. And then ice age, they figured out that, well, that no one's falling for that. So they created global warming. So it went from cooling to warming.
Yeah.
And then all the gee whiz scientists were saying, well, the temps, and people were getting smart, right? As technology increased, your average citizen wasn't relying on these freaking paid buffoons to teach us stuff. Your citizens were finding it out for themselves. So they were like, oh man, it's not warming. People are finding out. Well, we'll just throw a blanket term on it and just call it climate change. That can mean anything.
It's so broad. Climate change is so broad. Anything could be climate change.
We can
Earthquakes are climate change now too. Didn't you know?
Yeah, we can call anything climate change. I mean, you know, I think I've asked this question before, you know, at the so-called ice age, which they said we had, I don't know. I don't believe anything they tell us. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. If you believe it, you believe it. I don't trust it. How did all the ice melt? Like, there was just woolly mammoth. They were farting. How did all the ice melt?
There are more land animals that existed in the past than there are today.
Well,
and they're complaining that farts are killing
Exactly. So how did all the ice melt? That woolly mammoth fart must have been crazy. To melt all that ice, they said it covered the whole globe, just woolly mammoth farting and moving along, and all the ice just receded into the Arctic. It was just like, we're just going to go to the Arctic, and we're going to sit here for the next million years, and nothing's going to happen.
What's funny is that we're still in an ice age, because the ice age actually refers to the poles having ice caps. When there's not an ice age, there is no ice caps.
Well, that's never been seen.
That's never been seen in the human lifespan.
Exactly. It's never been seen.
Exactly.
So anytime these scientists talk about that stuff, no human was around to say it happened. So that's why I'm saying I don't believe it. If I wasn't there wasn't a human there.
It's all made up until they're proven wrong.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everything's made of that. You know, when they talk about all these theories and all the ice and all this stuff that happened back a million years ago because of carbon data and all this stuff. So you mean to tell me you picked up a slab of dirt and you know how old that dirt is based off carbon? You know what I mean? It makes no sense to me. Man wasn't even around. Well, maybe they were. I'm not going to say man wasn't around because, but I think we go a lot further back than what they tell us.
Before we head out, here's a conspiracy theory that some people are saying is that maybe there was an ice age, and then they decided, hey, we're going to stop it by warming the earth, and now they went too far, and now they've got to cool it again.
Maybe. I don't know, man. It's just, you know, those are the questions I ask, and you got to ask yourself. They know the consequences of messing with the weather. So say this little thing in Dubai, this storm in Dubai, comes out and says it was caused by cloud seeding or HARP or whatever. And then you got to start questioning all these other crazy weather anomalies that's been happening around the world. You know, then people start questioning it. So the first thing they did when the storm happened, it was like, oh, it wasn't cloud seeding. No. Because it's going to get people to start questioning everything.
Mm-hmm.
You start questioning because we already know they can manipulate the weather. We know this. especially for dry lands. If there's an area that's real dry and they have crops, they can create clouds so it can rain and, help the crops or help the dry lands. So whatever they're doing, they just need to stop, because eventually, they're going to say climate change, and then here's how they're going to fix it. They're going to get what they want with the Green New Deal. They're going to get rid of these programs, the harping and cloud seeding. And then they're going to talk about how great they are. Look at the climate now. Look at the pretty blue sky. We haven't had any crazy weather patterns because we controlled climate change.
Yep.
Exactly what they're going to do. They're going to come out as the victors when they're causing all of this. Then when it happens, they get what they want. They're going to stop it so they can prove that it worked when it never existed to begin with. You got to be smarter than these buffoons.
They control everything when they control nothing.
Yeah, they control nothing. They think they're smart. They're not smart, man. We can see right through it. Well, at least people like us, we can see right through their buffoonery, because it's so obvious to me. I don't know about to you people, but to me, it is obvious that they're full of crap.
Right, and we'll have some more full of crap tomorrow on the Savage Patriots when we cover the Trump trial.
I won't be here. I will be in another city at an event called Buds-a-Palooza.
Should be fun. And so I'll be on tomorrow night at the Savage Patriots, and I think Jay Lee should be there. If not, then it's me and Marlon.
I think he'll be there. He said he was, but I think they're working on getting the Trifecta other podcasts to kind of do a collab tomorrow.
Okay.
So I think.
Well, then we'll see everybody tomorrow night on the Savage Patriots, same time, same place as always. That'll be it for us tonight. We'll be back next Tuesday for the Hooch.
Yes.
And like, share, comment, subscribe, and we will see you all next time. We love you, America. And we
are out.
Out.
War.